Sarah Palin launches her book tour today amidst a lot of dust that she herself is kicking up, including a new comment on the tragic shooting at Fort Hood that she says will get her, quote, clobbered. NBC's Andrea Mitchell's in Grand Rapids, Michigan with more on this. Andrea, good morning to you.
Well, good morning, Matt. Even hours before Sarah Palin gets here to this mall just outside of Grand Rapids, some people, as many as 1,500 people, Matt, have been camped here overnight just for a chance to get in line, to get a wristband, to come back later for a chance to meet her.
Thank you very much.
As the books went on sale in her home state of Alaska and stores around the country,
I'm going to go home and crawl inside my bed with my electric blanket turned high and lay there and read till I'm done.
the kickoff of the Going Rogue book tour is as carefully organized as a military campaign.
Well, I'm already on page 142.
Definitely am not going to buy the book.
If you hate her, you hate her, and if you like her, you like her, and I don't think the book will make much difference.
If book sales depend on controversy, Palin delivers. With Sean Hannity on Fox in an interview that airs tonight.
Do you think Fort Hood was an act of terrorism?
I certainly do. To me, it was a fear of being politically incorrect to not, I'm going to use the word, profile this guy. Because I use the word profile, I'm going to get clobbered tomorrow morning. The liberals, their heads are just going to be spinning.
In her ABC interview with Barbara Walters.
Oh, there's so much bull crap out there about my family, about my record, about my state. And it really hurts when I hear the negativity about the state of Alaska and, of course, my family. So a lot of bull.
Tuesday on the radio with Rush Limbaugh, taking on fellow Republicans.
You know, another key to this, too, is to not hesitate duking it out within the party.
Some political experts see Palin as this year's Ross Perot, a populist with broad grassroots appeal.
Sarah Palin looks to me like she's running for the leadership of the conservative movement, not the leadership of the Republican Party.
An author who right now is more celebrity than politician, but is offended by Newsweek using a cover photo from Runner's World magazine.
She's right, it's an out-of-context photo. But a sexist photo, I don't think so. This is a photo she posed for, after all. It's not her caught in some paparazzi situation.
Just as Levi Johnston, the father of her grandson, releases the first picture from his Playgirl photo shoot. Palin will be traveling by bus and mostly in battleground states like this one. And as for her political future, well, the store has set up her signing today in the mystery section. Matt?
All right, Andrea, thanks very much. Andrea Mitchell out in Michigan for us this morning. Tina Brown is the editor-in-chief of the website The Daily Beast. Dan Kleidman is the managing editor for Newsweek magazine. Good morning to both of you.
Good morning.
Morning.
Dan, let me start with you. Here's what Sarah Palin says about the cover photo on your magazine. It's sexist and a wee bit degrading. She wrote on her Facebook page, quote, "This news magazine has relished focusing on the irrelevant rather than the relevant," adding, "The out-of-context Newsweek approach is sexist and oh so expected by now." Go ahead. What's your reaction?
Oh, I don't think so. Look, you know, what we try to do every week is to pick the most interesting picture, evocative picture, to illustrate the themes of the cover story. And that's the criteria we use every week.
But on this week, as she's launching this book that she wants to use to kind of establish herself and perhaps as a run for 2012, why that image? Why do you think that represented what she's all about at this point in time?
Well, what it really represented was what the story was about, and that's what our mission is. I mean, look, since she's been on the national stage, there have been these questions about her gravitas, about her seriousness, and look, you know, frankly, you know, Sarah Palin has cultivated to some extent this image of the sort of down-home, folksy, outdoorsy woman, and I'm not suggesting it's not authentic, but there is a sense in which she understands that it resonates politically.
Tina, let me ask you a question that's probably impossible to answer, but do you imagine that there was a meeting somewhere at Newsweek with these smart people where there were a few chuckles as they chose this photo and said, you know what, for all she's trying to do, this is going to cut her off at the knees a little bit?
Well, I certainly hope so.
You hope that was the case?
No, I don't think that. I actually think that Sarah Palin has as much right to criticize how to be an editor of Newsweek as she did to run it as vice president. You know, this is just, she posed for that picture. It's, you know, nobody cried sexist when we saw Bill Clinton in his running shorts in 1994, or when there was a Newsweek cover of Elliot Spitzer with an arrow towards his crotch saying brain. You know, I mean, this was just her in her sporty clothes, and she's a runner. She's certainly running at the moment.
Well, it does raise a question. Tina does. You know, if you were doing a cover story on Nancy Pelosi or Hillary Clinton, would you have looked for some out-of-the-box photo, or would you have had her take a picture that was specifically for the cover of the magazine?
Well, look, this is a side of Sarah Palin that is real. Frankly, she's a Rorschach test, and there are a lot of people who would see that image and say, that's Sarah Palin. That's why she connects with people. There's that authenticity. I don't think this is an image that is taken out of context, especially when you consider what the point of the story was, which raised these questions about her seriousness.
Well, what I did find interesting about this whole, so far, the publicity rollout, is that actually Sarah Palin, in a way, has become really much more appealing on both Oprah and Barbara Walters' interviews, because she really has gone back to being herself, which is not really remotely interested in politics, as far as I could see. I mean, in these interviews, she really didn't show any desire to get back to the, quote, policy message, such as there might be. She really was quite happy to play it as a celebrity talk show guest, and she did a fabulous job at that. And I did actually feel on the Oprah interview that the one really true thing she said was when she said, I certainly wasn't upset about the media knowing about Willow's pregnancy, about Bristol's pregnancy. She said, I was more worried about whether they'd know that I'd had a D on my college course 22 years ago. And I think she spoke a lot of truth on that.
Let me ask one last question. Either of you can weigh on this. I have a feeling you're going to want to do it more than Dan is. But this Levi Johnston thing, and I don't want to get into the whole Playgirl thing, but it occurs to me that there is nothing good that can come out of Sarah Palin even addressing this issue, other than to say he is the father of my grandchild, and then ignore the situation. Would you agree with that?
Well, I mean, what is divine about Sarah Palin is the way that she always says, I'm not going to talk about that, and then she proceeds to do so. But it was kind of a great moment in a way when she did that little sly shaft of him about the porn and so on. I kind of liked her for that.
But should she be doing this?
It depends on what her true ambition is. If her true ambition is to be a leader in the Republican Party, no. What she ought to be doing is going to the Council on Foreign Relations or the Detroit Economic Club and giving serious substantive speeches. Instead, she goes around and she's sort of enveloped in this soap opera atmosphere, this circus atmosphere. It's not helpful if she wants to be considered serious.
Dan Kleidman and Tina Brown, nice to have you both here. Thanks very much. We'll talk more about this.